because I'm not superstitious. I'm not none of that shit. But there is a way of thinking, where I feel like in some way you mentally control your universe.
I've actually heard theories about that before, and I've had thoughts like that myself, because like I often like contemplate.
And I'm sorry, this ain't as funny as the last ones, but
no, it's okay. We're getting deep. I often, and the reason I even go through depressions is because I often get into a lot of thoughts about like, is there God? What's the purpose of life? What's the meaning of life? But like one of the thoughts I have had, and it kind of goes in alignment with what you're saying, is that maybe if there is a God, maybe there's a God inside each individual person. Like maybe not, and I don't mean that in an arrogant way, like I'm God. I mean like every human being possibly has God within them, in the sense that, like you just said, they could create their own universe. Like sometimes it feels like hocus pocus or whatever to feel like, oh, your thoughts create your reality. Sometimes it's like, that's bullshit. But like I really do think there is something there.
There's an Easter egg in every book that like when people subscribe to certain religions and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like I grew up Christian, right? And it says that God created man in his own image. Now, just boiling that down to the root, that means that there's something of God that's in my essence. It might not be I'm God, but if I'm created in the image of God, then my just being is this how God look, not on some physical shit, but it's just like when you break it down mentally, it's like that mentality.
God's a creator.
You don't have to
God's a creator, so each human being has the ability to create. That makes a lot of sense.
And this is what I got a daughter. I've created something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't have to qualify like, yo, I'm not saying I'm God. How about, and this is where thinking outside the box comes in, because how about if as a woman you are? Because what came first, the chicken or the egg? I get the whole Adam and Eve thing. That's cool. But in my mind, that story don't make sense. Because they're if we want to talk about history and we want to talk about there's a time where there was giants and all types of shit like that, all these stories that are in the Bible, they're derived from some type of true event. The story of Jesus as we know it, I'm not sure if that's the A1 story, but there was definitely a dude that was something like that in history. You know what I mean? And it's like, maybe I can't take that story from the King James Version. Maybe I got to take that with like 2 or 3 grains of salt. But I can honestly be like, yo, I don't, like, when I say like the woman and shit, it's like, yo, I've never known a man to give birth to shit. And that story about the rib is cool, but that's the only story we hear about that shit. But I don't physically, but there's women that push life out of them every motherfucking day. That story of Jesus with the Immaculate Conception, I believe that there was a time on earth where a woman did not need to fuck a man to have a baby, because people were pure, the spirituality connection between the people and the universe were pure, the earth and the air were pure. There was a lot of shit that was pure. So maybe at that time your mind really did control some shit. There's that X-Men movie where the dude is building the pyramids with his mind.
Yeah.
Now, do I believe that that's how that shit really happened? Nah, I do believe that there were slaves that built that shit. I don't believe in the fucking aliens did it and all that other shit. I believe Pharaoh was making them motherfuckers build that shit. But now there's some type of credence that goes into even that scene in a movie, because art displays life, or whatever the fuck that phrase is.
Yeah.
Like there's something about, like I just said, your universe is controlled somewhat mentally. If you go around this motherfucker thinking the glass is half empty every day, your life is going to be
You're going to find
shit.
evidence of that.
But there was a time where I didn't, you know that song by Seal, Kiss from a Grave or Kiss from a Rose or Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose. You don't know that fucking song?
No.
Damn.
We should have jammed on the piano for that one.
Hell yeah. I'll sing if you play it. But like I remember that I was watching a podcast and there was a dude that asked some dude that was playing the piano on his podcast, yo, you know this song? And for the life of me, I could not figure out what that song was. And I was thinking about that shit for years. Like I would randomly over, like I think like the time spent like 3 years, I would just Google whatever I thought the lyrics were. And then out of nowhere, a couple years ago, they had the O.J. Simpson thing with Cuba Gooding Jr. where like they made the thing on FX where it was like a biopic, but it was a series.
Yeah.
And they played that song in the episode. And I'm watching it and I'm like, yo, that's the fucking song I've been looking for this whole time. And then I Googled it and now it's like frequent on my Spotify. If I just let my playlist go, you're going to hear Kiss from a whatever the fuck the name is by Seal. But I think even that type of shit is energy just because I don't believe in coincidence. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I spent mad mental energy trying to figure out what the fuck this song was. And then out of nowhere,
it got presented to you. I have stories like that as well. I have actually a lot of life experiences like that, but I'll just like pick one, to share with you and the audience, like just so we can give some real life examples. I used to do DoorDash for some extra cash. And at first I liked it because here's the thing. When I was trying to do like the musician, comedy, podcasting, artist lifestyle, I didn't want a real job. Like I didn't want a 9-to-5 job. So because I didn't want it to take up like a lot of my energy and my creative energy. So I wanted to find some like part-time gig. I remember at first it was cool because I was making extra cash, but then after a while it really started to wear me down because I was like lonely. I was in my car. I was all by myself. I wasn't getting the greatest tips. I was using up my gas money. I was just driving around all fucking day. And then I was like in tears and I pulled over on the side of the road and I actually prayed out loud to like the universe because I don't know what I believe. So I usually just say the universe. I usually say God or universe, whatever you are, whatever's listening. I sat there and I prayed and I said, I can't do this DoorDash shit forever. I was like,
that sounds like one of my prayers. I be cursing in my shit, man. I was Fuck it, I gotta be real.
I was like, I need the money, but I'm very focused on my craft, so I don't want like a real job. I just need a part-time job. I was like, I do speak Spanish. I have a degree in Spanish. I was like, is there anything out there like maybe I can find like Spanish tutoring like part-time? No fucking shit you. I get a text 5 minutes later from one of my friends. He's like, hey, we're looking for a part-time Spanish teacher at our school.
That's just scary though when
like,
it happened, right?
Like, and it wasn't even like a few days later it happened. Yeah. I prayed that and then it was like 5 minutes later.
No, that's some scary shit.
That's what I mean. So like I really it's and again, it's not like I'm God and I created the opportunity. The opportunity was probably there somewhere in the universe. And then God was like, all right, somewhere out there's got to be a need for a piano teacher. Let me get it to you.